Welcome to another episode of Breaking the 20%. I am Elena, CTO of Cocoon Creations, software engineer and geek.
And I am Maria, CTO of Sequela and tech consultant in organizations.
So Maria, we're back again here.
Oh yeah? Yeah, baby.
And today we have a bit of a difficult story to tell.
Is it ever an easy story?
Sometimes it's, more fun. This story is not fun.
Okay.
So this is a story that I wanted to tell for some time now. And the reason is, although we are talking in this podcast about how there is discrimination and harassment in the industry, we never ever really make it very specific. And sometimes the discrimination is subtle. It's things like innuendo, like a comment, like you go to a meeting and they ask you to make the coffee because you are the woman.
Yeah. Or in organizations, they look at the only woman in the meeting room to take notes.
Yes.
Or to prepare the room.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
So this is how I experience it mostly. I don't know about you. What did you experience?
The minutes, the taking minutes in meetings is something that I've done a lot in my career.
Because you are the woman in the room?
Yeah, I'm defaulted in doing it myself. But also at the same time, people were expecting that I will do it.
Because, yeah.
And when I say people, usually the majority of people I work with are men. So this was happening quite often. And then I put conscious effort in saying, who's going to take notes today?
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to do it today. Who's going to make it?
Okay.
But that's a way of switching it back to the others. So it's not just your responsibility.
Yeah. I don't take notes. I'm not good at it. But people sometimes expect me to bring the coffee, which is why me?
Really?
Yeah.
At work?
I mean, yeah. Not my colleagues.
Yeah.
But
because you're the boss as well, you're the CTO.
Yeah, but if we are in a room and it's all men, usually they are like, we want coffee. Who's going to bring the coffee? And they look at me.
In Cyprus, we still do this a lot. If you organize dinner at home, who's going to be in the kitchen?
The woman.
It's going to be the women. Like if you have 3 couples over for dinner, the women will naturally and gradually shift into the kitchen to prepare the table and everything. And the men, if there is barbecue, the men will be doing the barbecue. This is what happens.
Yeah. The thing is that this is the more, what's the correct word? It happens and it's bad, but things can be a lot worse than that. So sometimes it becomes a lot more real and a lot more dangerous. And in this story I'm going to tell you today, a woman's life was damaged permanently, and years later, she's still experiencing the consequences.
Oh, damn.
Yes. So before I continue,
Is it related with coffee or taking minutes?
No.
All right.
There is, I guess she was drinking coffee, but there is no there is a coffee.
Probably to produce code. Probably.
Yeah. So before I continue, I want to clarify something. So several years ago, a controversy erupted when a female game developer was falsely accused of professional misconduct. And the backlash was so big and the harassment so big against her that she wrote a book about it. And she says that even years later, randomly, the harassment will start again. And she noticed that this happens when somebody tries to write an article on her or tell her story.
Oh.
And, the trolls figure it out and they start again. So I made a decision. So the story I'm going to tell you is real. The events are real, but I left out some details and I changed the names.
Oh, Elena, this is very mindful of you, actually. So we're not going to share who the person is. So we don't trigger all the bots to begin. Yeah.
So there is a specific hashtag that is related to these events, and at the end I will tell you what it is. So if anybody listening wants to figure out the actual names or go and check out the actual events, they can use this. And if you Google this, you find a lot of information. But I'm not going to use her real name or any of the other people in the story involved.
I love this. This is very kind.
Think about this as a documentary where you blur the faces or you change the voice. The story is still true. It's just the names that are fictional.
Okay.
Let's go. Pam Winters, my name, I made it up, was born in 1987 and raised in a small town in the US. Her hometown was old-fashioned and kind of strange because she says that Confederate flags were on display frequently. The roads had no lines and the town was very behind when it came to technology. And her parents were blue-collar small business owners and the family was quite poor.
Okay.
Her father was a biker, you know, the kind you see in the movies with the leather jackets and the Harleys.
Oh, and the beard.
And the beard.
And all the tattoos.
Yes, and basically his job was to repair the bikes. So he was a mechanic.
Okay.
I'm not sure about her mother.
Well, at that time of the world, she probably was at home.
I don't know, 87, I'm not
87.
Yeah. So as she was growing up, a friend of her dad gave her a Nintendo Game Boy. The black and white one. Do you remember that?
I love those, yes. I used to play Super Mario.
Yes, her too. So she was very, very obsessed with it. And she was drawing Super Mario on her notebooks and everywhere.
Oh, and Luigi?
I guess Luigi as well. But because they were poor, she didn't have a way to buy new games. So she had the Nintendo, the Game Boy, Super Mario, but she couldn't really buy new games.
Yeah.
But still, you see, they give her the Game Boy and she's a gamer at heart. Even
yeah, exactly. She started from that age.
Yeah. And when she was 12, her dad bought home a handout game console called the 3DO. You've never heard of it, right?
I haven't heard of this, no.
Yes, because it was a complete market failure.
So it never arrived here?
I mean, it didn't really sold anywhere.
Except to her father?
I think somebody gave the console to him. He didn't even buy
Not
it.
even buy. Just take it. Nobody wants it.
Exactly like that. And on this console, Pam discovered Star Control 2, a game about adventure in space, and became obsessed with it. And around the same time, she picked up a net zero free trial disc and managed to dial up the internet for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Do you remember this time that we used to get this free floppy disks with 4 hours of, dial up internet, or you are too young for this?
I'm probably a bit too young for... I do remember the router that would connect to the internet and we wouldn't have landline for the period that we are connected. I remember that. And I remember it... the very characteristic sound.
Around the time they used to give us, they did it in the US and in Cyprus, this floppy disk that had like 4 hours of internet.
Okay, no. Probably I just got internet. I got the access a bit after that.
Yeah. So she finds this disk. Somebody gives her this disk and she gets online for the first time. And the World Wide Web wasn't new, but Pam managed to discover chat rooms and connect with other nets online. She discovered IRC.
I remember IRC. I used it.
Yeah.
Hi, ASL.
Yes.
Do you remember? Hi, ASL.
It's age, sex,
language.
Not language. Oh, maybe, yes. No, I'm not sure anymore.
Location.
Yes.
Because I would say, and I would reply NIC, Nick.
Okay.
For Nicosia.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
So during her teen years, the marriage of her parents fell apart and they went through a brutal divorce. When the divorce was finalized, Pam stayed with her mother, who was sick, and she had to start caring for her and injecting her with her medicines.
Brutal.
Yeah. Imagine being a teenager and have to take care of your mother that is sick.
I was expecting you to say that she got obsessed with gaming to escape all the family drama.
She was also obsessed with gaming, and she was addicted to the internet and, to go online and make all these friends online that...
Yeah.
And she said that her teen years was kind of a fucked up haze of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
All right.
So she was having a tough life. And she says that in the absence of any adult guidance, the internet gave her the advice on how to navigate life.
Oh, man. Imagine the advice she got at that age.
Yeah.
Here's how to approach guys. All the wrong ways you should do.
Exactly like that, I guess. Because she said that I made many mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And also, I mean, she was having a hard life. And at the age of 14, she was diagnosed with depression.
Mm.
And she says that, the officials at the school kind of said, okay, they didn't really register or wanted to support her.
And at that time, it was still a taboo, right? To go to therapy or get support.
I mean, this is 14 years old, 2001.
Oh, yeah, it's not that old.
But she was in a small, city. People were not very educated. So I guess it was taboo.
And early 2000s, in Cyprus, it was still a taboo.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's still a taboo for, I think, 40 plus, 45 plus, 50 plus. But the 20s and 30s, I think, were much more comfortable saying, I go to therapy.
Yeah.
At least I'm looking for people who go to therapy.
Yeah. I mean, people think that if you say I have depression, you're crazy, I think, still in Cyprus, which is sad.
Yeah, that's very sad, which is far from the truth.
Yeah. And when she was 19, she got married. And 19, yes. And I don't think she was in love. But it seems to me that she did it because in a small town, it was expected of her to get married after she finished school.
To some degree, that happened here as well.
Not at 19.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but even...
I guess in our generation,
yeah,
in the 80s, it would be right after you finish university. That's the expectation.
Yes, but she's, I think she's more or less your age. When were you born?
88.
So she's more or less...
Yeah.
Was it expected from you to get married at 19? I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
So, yeah.
After university, absolutely. Have I done it? Nope.
Yeah. And shortly after they got married, the two of them found themselves homeless. She was working a minimum wage job and her husband was unemployed. So without a home, they started living in her car.
Yeah. This is very common in the US. People to become homeless. These are the not small at all. These are some of the human basic things that we take for granted in Cyprus.
Yeah.
That most of us have a house, have also a car, and our parents taking care of us even after we became adults.
Yeah, I think at this point her mother had already died. I'm not sure, but I think she died.
Yeah.
And I don't think her father had the means to support her anyway. So she had to survive somehow.
And she got married, so then it was fully her responsibility to figure it out.
Imagine in Cyprus, or even if her parents were more wealthy, if she didn't have the money, they will support her, I guess.
Yeah.
Even if she was married.
Yeah, we're blessed in that way in Cyprus.
Yeah. So at this time of her life, Pam found that the internet could help. She started doing pinup work and stripping online in alt porn sites.
Stripping?
Yes. So they were and they are still these sites that somebody can pay and they can watch a woman stripping, but it's online. So for her, it was a way to make money and also be safe because whoever is at the other end of the computer and whoever he cannot really hear you if he's watching online.
Oh, hang on. You said stripping online?
Yes.
Oh, so that's OnlyFans, but much earlier.
Yeah. It's the 2000 version of it, but yes.
Okay. Well, now that's familiar with everyone listening to this, right?
Yeah. But no. She says that, I had to make ends meet. And this was a safe way for me to make money.
Yeah. By that time, she didn't think about becoming a programmer or...
No, she didn't even went to the university. She finished high school. She was working minimum wage jobs. She wasn't,
Yeah. She was trying to survive.
Yeah. She had to survive. That was the only thing. But eventually she started putting her life in order and became a photographer. Mm-hmm. And she was the one that the other alt porn girls would go to be photographed while feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
So she managed to get enough money to rent a house, and then she picked up a camera and she said, okay, I will become a photographer.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very easy to stick on the one thing that you do and it pays the bills, even if it doesn't fulfill your passions. So I love that she just moved away from stripping and she moved to the next thing, photographing other women who might be doing something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually at age 24, she divorced her husband and moved to Canada to pursue a career in photography. And while living in Canada, she came across a social media post about a 6-week program to teach 6 women to make their first video games.
Oh, yes. And here is a boot camp. Now that we have so many boot camps about becoming a developer, a designer, anything you want.
Yeah. So this is like the 15 years ago version of it. So, yeah. She found this on Facebook, actually.
I like this, actually. 6 weeks, 6 women.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
anyone listening, we would be awesome to have a bootcamp in Cyprus.
I think there are
for game development
game,
as well.
I think not, but we have bootcamps in Cyprus.
We have a couple of them, yeah.
And there was one from AWS actually about a year ago.
True.
And you also do the teenage girls,
with the Girls in STEM Academy, absolutely. And now we're gonna do another one for teenagers for 8 weeks. Yeah.
So yeah, I will have these things.
Small things like that.
So she applied, but when she went to the meeting, she felt out of place because the other women had all degrees and she didn't have a degree.
Okay.
But during the meeting, Pam suggested creating because there were about 100 women that apply. So Pam suggested creating an online community to share resources with those not accepted.
Wow.
So she caught the organizer attention and she got in the program.
Amazing. Okay, there's such a big lesson there. Like you get rejected, you still want to do it very much so. And that makes you say, okay, let's build a community with all the rejected ones.
She wasn't rejected. She said this because she thought that she was going to be rejected. And the organizer liked this so much that she actually got accepted.
So it's taking the initiative to do something about your learning that gets you through the door.
Yeah. You know, she says that I thought that programming was going to be so hard, but then I figured out that it's, mostly trying, seeing what doesn't work, going online, looking up online, little snippets of code and then trying it.
Googling the solution. ChatGPTing the solution.
No, back then I guess it was Stack Overflow.
Yes. Yeah, it was Stack Overflow. That was our main source of answers.
Yeah, so she figured out, okay, I can play around and I can, figure this out and I can build games.
Yeah.
And in the early months of her game development journey, Pam created small games and shared them online for free while using social media to connect with other developers, exchange knowledge, and organize collaborative events.
How did she make money at that time?
She had a full-time job. So that
As a photographer?
Yes.
Continuing that.
So that was like, she was learning to do this, but she didn't have any income from this.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2013, her first big hit became a reality. The game was created during a difficult period in Pam's life when she was struggling with her own mental health, a failing relationship, and a job loss. At a time when she felt isolated and overwhelmed by destructive thoughts, creating the game became a lifeline, a way to channel her emotion and make sense of her experiences. So this game, it's a browser game, and basically the idea is that it's about mental health, and the idea is that you get a scenario. Mm-hmm. There is a correct answer of how you should deal with the situation, and this is not available for you, and you have other solution and other answers to what you should do, that they are all wrong, and you have to select one and see
the least wrong answer.
Yeah. And then you select one of the wrong answers and you see how this affects you. And so basically it's teaching people about the effects of depression.
Wow.
And she designed the game to be free and easily shareable. And
at the time that talking about depression wasn't common?
It was around the time that Robin Williams died, actually. So there was a lot of discussion about this.
Do you think the game got picked up because of Robin's
I'm
death?
not sure, but basically it was free and anybody could pay whatever they wanted for the game. It had hundreds of thousands of users, and eventually professionals started using it as a learning tool to give it to the patients to understand how this works.
Professionals used it?
Yeah, therapies. So yeah.
That's insane.
So she had a successful game.
Yeah.
And it was very early on when she started this, and she had a success.
How many of us would begin a game where you will give lots of different answers to mental health questions or problems, and you'd think this is going to be legit and people are going to use it? Like, I don't think many of us will do that. We will feel that I don't have the right context or knowledge to do this. But then to have therapists to use this, like that must have felt really, really good.
I guess she understood depression because at this time it was like she struggled with it for, 10 years already.
So she found ways to handle her depressive episodes and navigate that.
So life was good for her, and she had broken up with her abusive ex. Her game was taking off, and she had a new boyfriend, Peter.
Mm-hmm. Is that a fantastic name as well?
Yes, and the people are real, but the names are not.
Mm-hmm.
The names are not. And on an August night in 2014, Pam and Peter went out with some friends for a farewell party. They were moving to Italy for a few months as Peter was starting a new job in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was having fun when a notification popped up on her phone. A friend was telling her that someone had posted a 9,000 words long article on a gaming forum full of pictures about how awful it was to date her. Yes.
And this is just 10 years ago.
Yes.
Which is very recent.
Yes.
Okay.
By the time she read the message, the moderators had removed the post because it was violating all kind of rules. But anything posted on the internet, unfortunately, stays on the internet forever. And she's out. She cannot find the post, so she doesn't really know what's in it. But she starts seeing tweets about the deleted article. And I will read you a few. "Fuck you, Pam Winters, you stupid cunt. Shut the fuck up. Just go away already."
Oh, wow.
And another one. "I'm going to hunt you down and behead you, you ugly face. You disgusting, cheating, feminist whore."
Oh, that's serious.
Yeah.
These are serious allegations.
Yeah. So, I mean, she doesn't know what's in the article exactly, but she starts seeing these tweets about her.
How scary is this to receive these kind of messages? Like, people saying that they're going to harm you and they don't even know you. They just read something and assumed it's all correct.
Yeah.
And it's all true. And even if it's true, receiving threats about your life.
Imagine like being out with some friends and a mob starts tweeting, about you.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's very exposing and scary.
And eventually, she found the original post, which was reposted in the dark, corners of the internet.
Yeah.
And her ex main accusation was that she had been unfaithful and that she had slept with a journalist to get a positive review for her game. And the fact that the journalist in question had never written a review for the game didn't seem to matter.
Mm-hmm. People love a good twisted story, basically.
So this guy spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort to write an article to claim that she was sleeping around with, other men, and she slept with a journalist to get a good review.
Which was never there to prove the point.
Yeah. I mean,
even if it was there, it's not proving any point, actually.
Yeah, actually, even first of all, the journalist never wrote an article. Then, let's say that she says that she wasn't unfaithful, and I believe her. But even if she was, what gives him the right to expose her and her whole life to the internet.
And God gives the right to anyone else to accuse her, threaten her, say that they're gonna kill her and harm her. Especially, 10 years later, now all I hear around is people cheating their partners. Like, this is what I hear all the time, which is insane. In Cyprus as well.
Yes, but first of all, I don't think she was cheating. But even if she was, that's between her and him. And they broke up at this point. So, and she broke up with him.
How is this affecting her still? You mentioned that.
Okay, this is the beginning of the story. Things from this point onwards get much, much, much worse for her.
Oh my God.
And I will tell you. I will tell you how it happened later. So her night was destroyed, but that was the least of her problem. That night, her Wikipedia page was edited to include a time of death that coincided with her next scheduled public appearance.
And it got accepted? I guess you don't have any...
I mean, you can go and edit any Wikipedia page. It's anybody can edit anything. So along with her friends, I attempted to revert the changes, but it became like
goosebumps.
Yeah, it became this war between her and her friends, and these people, the ones that will
they kept editing the page to add like anti-Semitic slurs, swastikas, and threats for her.
That's getting serious. Did the police get involved in all of this?
Eventually, I mean, not that night, but eventually she will go to the police, and the police officer will say to her, go offline, which is not...
Seriously, that's the answer.
I mean, that's not the solution. It's like the online world is an imaginary wall, and if you get offline, all the abuse goes away, which is another issue.
It's more like you close the box, but the abuse is there. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And the attacks are extended to the comment section of her blog, the page of her game, and any other social media platform that she was using. They started attacking her there. So they found her Twitter, her Facebook, her website, and they started, posting threads and comments on all those pages.
Oh, my God.
And... So imagine those spaces were her safe spaces up to now, because all her life she was finding refuge to the internet when she was depressed. And now these places were full of, things like rape threats, like threats against her life. And just...
Her safe space became another dangerous space.
Yeah.
Basically. Just a parenthesis here. I think... Elena, I don't know if you found anything. I think we should share some resources for people who are experiencing online harassment and bullying, and share some information of what can people do nowadays. Because with social media and AI and taking photos and sharing photos is our daily habit, routine. I think there are more of these dangers to happen.
Yeah, we can find there are a lot of resources online, and
we can put them below on the description.
Yeah, we can put it in the description. I will go on with the story, but I want to say this. The thing about here specifically, this happens all the time, It's not uncommon. Usually what happens is that if somebody targets you or me, they get bored very fast and they move on. This case is so bad because it persisted for months and even years. So it's the worst of how something like that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And it starts off with, just a man that wants to control his girlfriend. His girlfriend gets away from him, from the abuse.
Yeah.
And he transfers the abuse online. So Pam and Peter were staying at a friend's apartment waiting for the visas to be approved because they were supposed to go to Italy. And the cramped windowless space initially seemed quirky, but quickly turned into a prison-like setting as threats to Pam's online and physical safety mounted.
Okay. So they started staying there, not going anywhere.
Yeah, so they are trapped inside this tiny space and they cannot go out because... people are threatening her life.
But people knew where she lives?
No. The good thing about this, it was that she wasn't at her home. She was staying at a friend's apartment waiting to go to Italy. So people didn't really know where.
So was she that popular that she couldn't show her face around?
After this started, people were, threatening her. Yes.
Yeah. I guess it's easy to say, oh, yeah, they're just having fun online, but you never know who's going to take it too far and come and actually find you and stalk you.
They were not having fun online. I mean, this is not fun. When you start saying to somebody, go kill yourself, or I will find you and kill you, and this goes on and on and on. I mean, I'm sure some of them, maybe they thought that it was fun, or they were some sort of justice warriors.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure in this crowd, there were people that were actually, mentally unstable, and they could have harmed him for real.
Yeah.
So whoever tried to help her friends, they were also attacked.
In what way? You mean online?
So imagine you go say, this is wrong because you are her friend, and then they start attacking you.
Man, this feels so unreal. And it's been only 10 years ago. I haven't heard this story before. But yeah, I'm shocked.
So sleeping and eating became impossible for Pam as she experienced panic attacks and nausea because of the stress, and because also she was constantly getting notification that people were trying to hack her accounts.
Mm-hmm. Expected.
Yeah. And initially, what they thought is that, okay, these online mobs, they have a short attention span, so they will move on. But it went on for weeks and then months. So imagine.
It really touched a soft spot on all the trolls and all the unstable mental people who were online.
It became this movement that we are fighting for journalistic integrity in game development, which is insane.
Wow.
So they frame this as, journalists are corrupt and they give good reviews for sex, which nobody's doing that, but they frame it like that. So all these people harassing her, they thought that we are justice warrior, or I don't know.
So who would get obsessed to keep this story alive? People who got cheated on? People who create games and their games never get popular?
Yes.
And other mental unstable people who don't have anything else to do in their life? Yeah. Okay.
There is another group, unfortunately. Because as the days went on, various YouTubers making a career out of attacking, marginalized people, started creating videos about her and making monies out of, attacking her.
Are these people, do these videos still exist?
I guess.
Are they allowed to have this kind of videos?
I think YouTube probably took down some of these. But,
if they're presenting the story, they're not saying anything bad, right? So they can.
I mean, these people are smart that they frame this like, maybe she did it, maybe she, they know what they are doing.
Yeah.
But still they are putting,
Yeah.
What's the expression? Oil on fire.
Oil
Yes.
fire.
So
I don't know if this works in English, but yeah, the oil and fire.
Probably not. So yes, the next group of people is the professionals, and there are a lot of professionals, unfortunately, that make a career out of hurting people.
And what happened next?
You know what doxing is?
A what?
Doxing.
And is that a medicine?
DOX. Dox. No, okay.
Who let the dogs? No, it's not.
No. So basically, it's this thing that somebody hacks you and they publish all your personal data, your username, your passwords, plus any personal information that they find about you, like home address, phone number, sensitive details, like things like your ID, your social security number. So they hack her and they publish online her home address, her phone number, password for things like her Twitter, her blog, her Dropbox.
Wow. Imagine all your digital life available and accessible to everyone.
So, then people started using her own accounts to attack her, to impersonate her.
To post shit from her account.
Yes. And people started, posting things like, I left that card in your mailbox, because then now they knew her actual address.
So she moved, right? She had to move.
She wasn't in her home. Remember, she
was in Italy.
No, she was
not even.
She was staying with a friend, waiting for the visa to go to Italy.
And that took months. So she was staying at that house.
Yeah. So she wasn't in her actual house.
Yeah.
So that was the good thing, that she wasn't at her actual house.
Yeah.
But still, people knew her home address.
Yeah.
And she panicked. And what she did, because she thought that I don't have time to, secure all of those accounts, she started deleting accounts. Okay. And she said that I lost a lot of my online presence because I didn't want to risk for somebody to take, control of this account. So I deleted my online life.
Wow.
Imagine, go delete your Facebook, your Twitter, your everything, because you feel it's safer just to delete everything instead of trying to secure them.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
And since we're saying this, and you said about how to be safe, please use good passwords online. Don't reuse the same password. Whenever you have two-factor authentication, use it.
Yeah.
It makes it so much harder. I mean, don't use 123 as your password.
And don't use your, I don't know, mom's name as your password, or girlfriend's name, or stuff like that.
And I want to say also that there are websites that you can go and check whether your accounts have been hacked or if your passwords were leaked. So you can go and check this.
What password manager are you using?
I migrated from one password to the native one from macOS recently.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. But I was using one password for years.
I was using one password for years, and I just migrated to NordPass.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did we both migrate away from one password?
No. One password is relatively expensive, and the native one for Mac is free. So I want to try it out.
Yeah. LastPass is another option. Many people are using it as
LastPass was hacked a few years ago, though.
Which is why I didn't feel like going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you have options. Don't use, I don't know, password 123, please don't.
And people get bored to handle their passwords, but
they
just think of the risk. If you lose an account, how much it will cost you in mental, on stress, or even exposing data that you don't want to be exposed. Just do it. It's worth the
this
time.
is the worst case scenario, but if somebody has access to your passwords, they can, hear you in much smaller ways as well.
Yeah, in all your photos, imagine that.
Yeah.
Or all your emails, imagine that.
So yeah, and the first time she actually dared to appear to a conference to give a speech, she had to be escorted in and out by security.
Damn, what a life. What a life.
So Pam was...
How long did it take so far?
Maybe it's been 3-4 months now.
Okay.
And it's still going. So Pam was desperate, and she tried reaching out to her ex to reason with him. And this ex, all this time, was, giving interviews online and bragging about the damage he caused.
Living off fame?
Yes.
From being a victim?
Yes. And I guess for us, maybe it seemed obvious that you don't try to reason with the abuser. Yeah. But she felt desperate, and she felt, I have to talk to him. Maybe she will say to the mob to back off. But
you're at a dead end. Yeah. You are going to try anything, even to reason with the person who cannot reason with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that the ex had not publicized about Pam, and that she was scared he will soon do. And I think this is very brave of her, because this is in her book. This is something that the ex...
She wrote a book?
Yes, she wrote a book later on about her experience. And this is something that her ex didn't say, but she said it. So after breaking up with him, she realized that she was pregnant. And the ex tried to convince her to keep the baby. And he said, I will be responsible and I will take care of the baby. But you have to quit game development and stay away, because this is not good for you.
So he's going to decide what's good for her. And he decided that game development is not for her.
Yes, I want to control her. If she has a job, if she has a life, if people respect her, I cannot control her.
Thank God she left.
So she decided not to keep the baby, and she broke up with him. And so they speak. And basically, he blames her for the harassment. He says, it's your fault that people are harassing you because you cheated on me.
On false grounds. Like he has, even when he speaks with her, he's, I mean, that's what's going to come out, right?
Yeah. A few months later, she goes to court. Basically, first she went to the police and I told you what happened. And eventually she goes to court to request a restraining order against him. And basically she provides all the proof that this is what's going on. And
this is a solid case, I would imagine.
Yes. So she wants a restraining order against him to stop him from posting things online for her. Mm-hmm. And then just grants the restraining order. Mm-hmm. And what does the ex do?
Create fake accounts?
First of all, he continues like nothing happened. And he goes to court claiming that this is a violation of the First Amendment and his right to free speech.
Yeah, sure. We all have the freedom to speak our minds as long as we are as long as we're respecting others. Like, am I allowed to just go online and start throwing hate on people and be disrespectful? We can judge and criticize people, but not being disrespectful, right?
Her physical well-being was threatened. She suffered, mentally, because this is a person that suffers from depression and all these things are happening to her. I don't know how I would go crazy if I was her.
Yeah. And what happened after that?
So basically, eventually she decides, I will, just ask the court to remove the restraining order because anyway, it doesn't do anything and people are also accusing me of this. And it didn't stop anything. So
shouldn't she be asking the police to do their job?
The police replies, go offline.
No, about when there is a restraining order and somebody doesn't comply with the restraining order.
Honestly, I don't know. Because he was, going to the court and saying, no, this is a violation of my rights. I don't know.
Wow.
So he wasn't respecting it and he was going to court challenging it. I really don't know.
And it's not that far ago. That's what scares me the most.
Yeah.
That these things, we should figure them out and have clear laws of what applies and what not. So
eventually, Pam and Peter broke up. Peter was there for her. He supported her. He tried to help her. But imagine the relationship was new and it started off with this. So
what are the chances of it surviving? Yeah.
But they remain friends and they work together and they started a non-profit to help victims of online abuse like Pam. Mm-hmm. So they co-founded a non-profit organization in January 2015 dedicated to supporting victims of online harassment and working to address systemic issues surrounding digital abuse.
Love it.
So basically the organization sought to provide practical support to individuals targeted by online harassment. And to educate, the public and the policymakers and the tech companies about improving digital safety and addressing online abuse effectively.
So, are they still running that?
Not anymore. I will explain. But what they did at this point is two things. First of all, it's, trying to work with the companies and with the government to educate them. Mm. But they also did practical things like they established a relationship with Facebook, with Twitter, with the social media companies. And let's say somebody abused you, you could go to them and they will help you, block this person, report them. They knew the processes. They knew the teams in the companies. So they will actually help people,
wow,
block the abusers.
Yeah.
So they were successful, and eventually, actually, she managed to go to the United Nations and talk about this. But they didn't have enough funds to run it, so they ceased operation in 2018.
2 years later.
Yeah, 3 years later.
These things should exist. Like, it feels like a government responsibility to have this kind of bodies run.
You know, it's very...
It's not enough to have it in companies, I think. You need an organization that's independent and neutral to any other company's success, so they can be truthful and objective about the company's operations and outcomes.
You know, these days, Facebook announced that they are changing their policies about content moderation. You've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
So they were not exactly strict. They think a lot of people could say anything on Meta platforms. And then after 2016, they became very strict about fact-checking, about hate speech. And now they are going back and say, you know, we're removing content moderators and we're removing fact-checkers. And, you know, people can say their opinion online more easily, which on one hand, I get it, that you should be free to say whatever you want. Why should Meta have an opinion on your political views or your personal opinions? On the other hand, when you remove all these policies...
If you're promoting abuse, what's Facebook's responsibility on hosting people who promote abuse?
Yes, but it's much more difficult because maybe I'm not promoting abuse. Maybe I'm saying, you know, a woman should not work. Is it my opinion and am I allowed to say it?
I think you're allowed to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I go a step further and I say...
I disagree.
Yes,
but
exactly.
You're allowed to... You're free to say it online.
Yeah.
And if I don't like you, I don't follow you and I don't listen to you, right?
But the minute somebody says like that, then they follow up and they say, you know, women should, I don't know, you know, take somebody like Andrew Tate. Yes. He says that, and he also said, you know, I want to sleep with 16 years old, and, you know, nobody should stop me.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult.
And the problem there is that if somebody has a following already, if they can already influence thousands of people and young men, if we take Andrew Tate, for example, saying these things, it influences them, and that's where the line becomes very blurry. Like, if I was Facebook, would I allow in my platform this kind of speech? And because Meta contributes indirectly to people being influenced in one way or another. But the one way or another can be objectively good or bad, but the problem is when it's not objective, right? It's when, and often
but it's
never objective.
Yes, it's never objective because, okay, where is the line? It's very difficult to find where is the line.
Yeah, and this is I've been having this conversation maybe last week after Phidias interviewed Andrew Tate, and then he interviewed what's his name? Pelletier. And I was having this conversation on my Instagram, on stories, and this was the conflict, the conflicted messages that I was receiving. One group of people would say, yeah, these people should have a platform and they should say whatever they want to say. And it's the audience responsibility to judge what they're listening and take what's right and leave what's wrong. And then another group of people say, no, you shouldn't give them space and a platform because they're influencing people who don't have high judgment on to be able to separate what's good and what's bad. Like younger generations, they are still developing their judgment, right? So if all the information is free, which is free, how do you protect them? How do you help them navigate the noise and find the signal, find what's good.
Look, Phidias can go and interview Andrew Tate. It's his right. But is it responsible? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Tate already has a big following. Phidias has a big following. So, I mean, Andrew Tate has an audience. He doesn't need more audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
At the end of the day, this feels like it's more of a clickbait.
Yeah, it is.
Bring more traffic to my channel, bring more noise, and like bad noise is still good.
Yeah, because it's still eyes on you.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, to go back to Pam, in 2017, she published a memoir. And the book recounts her experiences during the whole harassment campaign and offers strategies for combating online abuse. So basically the book is two parts. One, she tells her story, and the second one, she actually discusses, how this thing happens, why they happen, and her opinion on what we can do to stop these things from happening, or how to protect yourself from these kind of things. So in the beginning, I said I was going to share a hashtag, and the hashtag that the abusers use is Gamergate.
Okay. So now we're at the point that we are sharing.
If you Google this, I'm not going to say it again, but if you Google this, you will find a lot of information, and you will find her real name, the ex real name, the videos, the interviews he did, a lot of bad things written for her, and also you will find, people defending her, And and the reason there is this hashtag is because this was not random. And people were coordinating online. They used things like 4chan, like Reddit, and they coordinated and they were talking strategy. How can we make this worse for her? They were saying, we will go and mass report her on this platform all together at this time. We will go all on her, Facebook, and all post things at the same time. So this was a coordinated effort. It wasn't a random thing that, random people were, just attacking them. These people were coordinating online.
This is so scary.
Yeah.
And because of how recent this happened, and you never know when this is going to happen again. Have you found anything of this coordinated conversations continue happening now? I mean, we just heard about the latest Telegram group of how many hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, dozens of thousands of men sharing ways to abuse their wives and partners. And this was exposed a few days ago. Like, this is the latest I've heard, and I'm shocked that these groups even exist.
This happens a lot, okay? It wasn't only her. And actually, people around her that tried to defend her, or even there was a specific journalist that tried to defend her. She was attacked as well. But I think her case is the worst of the worst. It's like the most extreme of this. Because smaller version of this, they happen every day, unfortunately.
What is she doing now?
So,
because from what I understood, 10 years ago, this harassment happened. It took about a year, maybe. At that time, she started the charity. The nonprofit ran for 2 years.
Yeah. So basically, today, she still engages in creative projects and tries to maintain an online presence. I found her TikTok, so she has a TikTok. And also in recent years, she ventured into comics writing. But it's very difficult to find information about her because even 10 years later, she lives in relative hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So you can't find where she's hanging out?
You cannot find exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fair. Probably we should be living that way too, because you never know where the next stalker or mentally unstable person is gonna show up. But
yeah. So that's the story for today.
Elena, thank you for sharing this, and I'm grateful that we're doing it in such a thoughtful way. So we're not exposing her name. People who are really curious can find that split second where you're saying the name of this incident, and they can go and find it. Let's find some resources to put below. Yeah. I don't know if we have something dedicated in Cyprus around online harassment?
I don't think so. I mean, I will Google it and I will search about it, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
But
When I was living in London, and actually it was around, I moved to London in 2015. And around those years, and I don't know if this is related to this incident, I remember I went to a workshop about online harassment and
maybe
bullying.
it's really related.
And the only reason I remember this now is because I was just hiding my office and I found a booklet with advice and information on what to do when online harassment is opposed to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find it again and see if there is anything useful or still up to date to today, because this now has been almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. So before we close the episode, I want to say that if people are targeting you online, you have to remember it's not your fault. You know, there are people that are crazy. They are mentally unstable. So, yeah.
And even if you've done something that can justify someone being upset with you, that does not give them any right to be disrespectful, to expose you online, and to be in any other way abusive. Like, we all make mistakes.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of levels and kind of mistakes. Nothing can justify anger, abuse, and disrespect.
So let's close the episode. And
that was a serious one.
Yes,
Elena.
it was a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard episode. Usually we're more fun.
We need to talk about hard things, and I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. So before we close the episode, I want to thank the people working for the podcast. Chrysanthini Dimitriou and Sofia Kafkalia that are doing the editing. Dasos Konstantinou for the graphics, for the coordination, setting up the microphones and everything, doing the tea, preparing the tea.
Preparing a tea.
From the previous episode.
What tea? The tea. Oh my God. Thank you, Daso.
Konstantinos Vsillidis, who is the head of content for Black Lemon.
And today he's been listening in all the time.
He's here monitoring us.
Dun, dun.
Hi, Konstantino. Andreas Filachtou, who is the producer of the show, and Black Lemon, that, it's the
hosting us
every time. Here.
Elena, thank you so much for preparing the story.
Thank you for helping me in this, because this was a very difficult one.
And we'll see you guys next time.
And I promise I will be more fun next time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.